Every summer, millions of Americans pack their cars and head out to participate in a massive, highly predictable ritual, the East Coast beach trip. But if you take a step back and look at these coastal towns from the outside, you might notice a striking amount of redundancy. The architecture, the attractions, and the layouts can all start to feel incredibly monotonous. Walk down almost any of these boardwalks, and you're greeted by the exact same multi-story condos towering over identical shops like this massive t-shirt factory. Yet this visual sameness does nothing to deter the crowds. Thousands of people pack themselves shoulder to shoulder under an endless sea of colorful umbrellas. The formula repeats in almost every zip code from Maryland to the Carolinas. You buy your groceries at the same Food Lion or Piggly Wiggly, and you buy your souvenirs at the same little shops selling the exact same plastic toys and tchotchkes. And of course, no East Coast boardwalk is complete without the neon glow of a saltwater taffy sign dominating the night sky. This presents a highly specific problem for local businesses. If your town looks exactly like the one 10 miles up the road, how do you convince a family to spend their vacation dollars on your rental properties? A property management company in Bethany Beach, Delaware, called Wilgus Associates, faced this exact dilemma. Instead of trying to artificially dress up their town as a unique, exotic destination, Wilgus Associates took a completely different path. They built a marketing campaign around selling the predictability. Above Virginia, the Atlantic Ocean is really only warm enough for swimming about 3 months out of the year. That leaves a highly condensed window for beachgoers. You get a rapid burst of heat, and then the coast goes cold, windy, and empty again. Because the season is so short, families rarely spend it exploring unfamiliar coastlines. They lock into a routine, migrating back to the exact same spots year after year to guarantee a good trip. Wilgus designed their ads to speak directly to this behavioral loop. They show an older man looking at a decades-old drawing, leaning into the idea that returning builds a shared family history. This nostalgia translates directly into recurring revenue. They don't ask you to book a new adventure. They just ask, same week next year? Within the context of a family vacation, that unvarying repetition functions as a generational anchor. Most travel advertising relies on selling a fantasy of total relaxation. They show you pristine landscapes, empty beaches, and effortless luxury. Anyone who has actually been to an East Coast beach knows the reality is completely different. Getting to the water requires hauling an absurd amount of gear through traffic, crosswalks, and crowded sidewalks. Wilgus puts that exact struggle front and center. They show a family standing at a crosswalk with a packed wagon, waiting for traffic to pass, acknowledging that the beach day starts with a commute. You have to haul coolers, towels, toys, and metal folding chairs across deep, soft sand before you can even sit down. We've all seen or been the person awkwardly carrying a stack of chairs through the heat, sweating before the umbrella is in the ground. They follow that messy reality right back to the rental property, highlighting wet footprints on the deck, scattered flip-flops, and damp towels hanging over the outdoor shower. By openly validating the sweating, the hauling, and the cleanup, Wilgus creates an ad campaign that feels entirely honest to the people who actually make this trip. Typically, the travel industry cuts the camera the moment you leave the resort. Wilgus intentionally points the camera at what happens right after you get out of the sun, focusing on the chaotic, disorganized aftermath inside the rental. The pile of damp towels and sandy clothes discarded on the floor serves as the visual evidence of a day spent entirely at the shore. Then they take this concept even further, tracking the end of the trip all the way back to the family's permanent residence, to capture that specific reluctance to let the vacation end. Leaving a fully packed canvas bag on a hallway hook captures the mild depression of returning to normal life. And they zero in on what always follows you home. Weeks after the trip, sand remains trapped in the car's floor mats. The grit on the floorboards isn't dirt. It serves as a tangible, lingering souvenir, proving that the family successfully pulled off their annual ritual. Let's go back to that original critique. East Coast beach towns are largely identical, selling the exact same experiences up and down the shoreline. For the millions of people who flock there every July and August, that lack of novelty is the entire point. This approach is built on the realization that consumers aren't renting a house to find something new. They are paying thousands of dollars to guarantee that they can recreate the exact same memories they made last year. Wilgus is pitching a chaotic, sweaty summer ritual, rather than just 4 walls and a roof near the ocean. It's an experience built up over decades, preserved under a magnet on a cluttered refrigerator door. True empathy in marketing comes from reflecting the unglamorous, repetitive truth of the audience's own life.